Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Nourishing Reality with Salima. This week, we're going to be looking at Zen and the concept of Zen, of the non-self, and its resonance to and for an AI world. So, welcome to an invitation for Nourishment in Life 3.0. Lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. That's the English transliteration from a verse from one of the Upanishads. And I'm using that because in this episode, we're looking at the crossovers and what we can learn from Eastern philosophies and practices, including Zen, to help us not only understand but navigate our world with AI. Will the light of knowledge and intelligence save or destroy us in the age of AI? And how can we keep ourselves on the noble, ethical path? This post and podcast continues an interesting dialogue I first started earlier in 2024 with a trilogy of posts exploring the relationship between Eastern philosophies, including Zen and AI. The aim simply was to illuminate and enhance our understandings of how, by drawing on Eastern and Western science along with technology, enables us to recultivate an appreciation of being human and how to live harmoniously in an overstimulated world, provoking us to rethink about our connection and obsession with technology, as well as the future of life and work. If you are listening to this as opposed to reading this post, if you head over to Substack, there is a link in the written post on one of the pieces from that trilogy, and it's called Why Your Presence Matters in an Algorithmic Society. Makes for interesting reading. So back in 2019, just before COVID, I was asked to give a talk looking at human behaviors around knowledge and intelligence in our AI and techie world, based upon my work in this area. Part of this discussion was to explore how some Eastern philosophies, including Zen, may offer lessons and be relative to how we're behaving around and constructing our technology and AI. So, where do we get our knowledge and intelligence from to navigate these important discussions safely? Well, let's start by how, first of all, you define knowledge. Most infer that knowledge is simply an acquisition and acceptance of facts, while intelligence points to the implementation of the facts wisely. Knowledge can be the same in different individuals, especially if impacted under the same environment. Obviously, the environment you place yourself in influences that. But intelligence and intuition, on the other hand, are unique to individuals. Furthermore, knowledge, intelligence, and intuition are precious human gifts given to us to experience and navigate the world in a linear and non-linear way. Therefore, knowing this, can using the light of knowledge and intelligence from an Eastern perspective then keep us on the noble ethical path in our age of AI? As I said, the verse that I read out, or the transliteration I read out at the beginning, invites us to question and reflect upon how we perceive reality by prompting us to contemplate what is unreal and what is real then. Perhaps by applying this verse in our technological and AI world might lead us to understand our obsession with engineering humanity, providing us with possible insights into why humanity may want to consider merging with technology. For example, with machine cyborg technology and AI via computer mainframes and interfaces, singularity, to become immortal, but with a non-self. We'll come back to non-self shortly. Human versus machine behavior. So after attending various forums and conferences for the past few years around the globe, One of the core aspects that I observed and I listened to was the concern of this transformation technology. And it appears to just have one directionality and intention, and that is to extend life in another dimension where some of our human qualities won't transfer. However, if we look at human behavior, one of our main purposes in life is to seek enlightenment, find happiness, which is strongly influenced by the enjoyment of the senses. If this is indeed true, is our current and growing relationship with technology chipping away at our senses along with our emotional and social intelligence? If we look at what desire arises in the human mind, the tendency is always to fulfill it. However, when desires don't get fulfilled, it often leads to inner frustration and anger. And if we do manage to get what we crave, our never satisfied ego always wants more. Enter Zen. There's a picture in the post. Again, if you're listening to this and not reading it, that was taken outside one of the four temples at Wat Po, which is a Buddhist temple complex in Bangkok, in Thailand, if you haven't heard of it. It's a very famous place, and it is one of the oldest and most important temples in Thailand. And also, it's a center of education and traditional Thai medicine, which is where I studied for a month quite a few years back, but I always remember my time there fondly. Zen, the concept of non-self and its resonance to AI. So in Zen Buddhism, in brackets, slightly different from certain yoga philosophies which talk about the layers of the self, Zen instead follows the concept of a no-self. You might have heard of that, referred to as anatta. I probably said that wrong because I'm thinking of more of a Sanskrit pronunciation for something else. So let's stick to the English for the time being. No self. And this no self forms the central pillar to the practices of Zen. Yes, yoga and meditation also ask us to sit with ourselves, to do this self-exploration. Zen facilitates the same line of inquiry, but from a slightly different perspective, using zazen, which is meditation, which there are many forms of that, and satori, which is introspection, to go beyond who we think and what we are and join with all that is. Cultivating this state of no self reflects a deeper intelligence. Reflecting a deeper intelligence. Zen and Eastern practices and AI, the possible learnings and conclusions. Well, currently AI operates without any form of self-awareness and emotional consciousness. Will that change one day? Maybe. But it's also worth remembering that it also lacks the ability for introspection, to go beyond the ego and finding connection to the all, which us humans are able to do. That being said, there are also two distinct differences in terms of this concept of non-self. Do you know what those are? So if we apply this concept to technology, namely AI, we can relate it to the technological specifics in how it's designed, as well as its programming and its code. Where obviously, if we're looking at it from a more Zen perspective, it represents something completely different. It represents a profound turning point spiritually. Human behavior. Examining human history, we can see recurring patterns of behavior like greed, war, pollution of the environment, can all be traced back to a fundamental root cause, desire. So perhaps then, by looking back at the history and the impact of human behavior on society as we move forward, we can ensure that we don't repeat the same mistakes as we enter into this new dimension and human evolution. Enter AI ethics. So Sam Harris, who is a very brilliant neuroscientist and philosopher, gave a TED talk way back in 2016. So quite some time ago, on the future of life, concerning some of these topics that I'm speaking about and that others are speaking about also on this platform and on many other platforms. Moreover, he went on to say that many of us suffer from a failure of intuition and awareness, which helps us detect a certain kind of danger. One of the key issues that worried him the most was about the development of AI and how we seem unable to marshal an appropriate and emotional response to the dangers that lie ahead. So, why should we be concerned about this then? We all love technology. We're getting to a point where it's very difficult to live without it. But it ultimately reflects our emotional and social intelligence in how we perceive and respond to the world around us. After all, we don't want to become zombies. We want to feel. We want to observe. We want to feel free and not enslaved. I first got into ethics around AI from attending, and I'm going to say it again, and I've said it in a few of my writings, a fascinating debate while I was studying at the University of Birkbeck in London with Bob Fisher, who is the head of computer vision and the Centre of Robotics at Edinburgh University. And interestingly, at the time that he gave this debate, he was the advisory chair for the UK Commons Committee on AI ethics for the UK. Inspired by his concern and vision, I then went on to study aspects of ethics in the digital and AI arena, which is fascinating. So, how can we live more mindfully in our AI world? Well, we all know life is a difficult journey of ups and downs. In the technological era, it presents us with even more new challenges. Challenges where we end up questioning our purpose as well as our existence. Therefore, it's no surprise that we can lose our way in this new landscape. But scriptures like the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, as well as the Zen teachings can serve us as a worthy roadmap, keeping us on the noble path towards freedom, peace, and happiness, which fundamentally is what we are all searching for in the age of AI. And more importantly, to find the connection to all. So, in my next podcast, I'll be exploring another perspective of understanding the self, this time, though, from a more psychological, scientific perspective from my studies in psychological science. So, I'll hope you join me then. In the meantime, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and read this information, this topic. I would love to see and hear your comments. Please feel free to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Nourishing Reality with Salima Valiu is a reader-supported publication. If you don't want to miss out on new and interesting audio and podcasts and video notes, as well as posts, and support my work, then please consider becoming a free, or better still, a paid subscriber, so I can continue to do what I love. But until next time, thank you.